Oh, it smells so good. Oh man, but it's too hot. Oh, hey, how are you doing today? Well, I'm here with the game Chai, which is about tea and having a tea shop and doing that. We're gonna take a look at the game. We're gonna look at how it plays and what the components are like, and then we'll come back at the end and talk about my final thoughts. So, Chai. All right, here we are with our setup for Chai by Dan and Connie Kazmaier, a Steeped Games game. This is the deluxe version, so keep that in mind when you see these components. But we'll go through the setup real quick. I have this set up for a 3-player game and talk about some of the components, and then we'll talk about how to play the game before we get into my thoughts on the game. All right, the very first thing that's going to happen is each player selects a tea house. So I have this set up with the green, the black, the white. There's also I forget the name of the red one, but there's a red tea and an oolong, which is with the blue. And each one of those has a unique player board. You're going to put that out. You're going to get the corresponding cards that are 8 in the regular game. In this version, there's 11 cards. I just randomly took out 3 from each deck. And those have the red back on those cards. So let's zoom in on one. These cards are sleeved, so sorry for the glare, but here we can see this card has the red cup on the background, and that is our player cards. Each one is with a corresponding tea leaf. So this is one of the white player's cards that is now out and set up for the game. But we're going to take our cards. Each player takes one and puts them down in front of them. And then they shuffle their cards, put one out, so everybody is going to start with at least one out in the middle. And then they shuffle the remaining cards, and that forms our draw deck. In this case, we take the original 3, one for each player color, and then add 2 more for a total of 5. We would have more in a 4 or 5 player game. This game plays 1 to 5 players. We set that up. We have the individual pieces for each player. Here are those. I actually like these. They're fun. Most of the players have different ones to signify the different types of tea. Let's see if we can grab the white ones. Here we go, the white ones there. All right, so that's set up. Then the next thing we do after getting our cards out and setting up the cards in the middle is we also have the tea flavor bag. That's this bag set up here next to this. And with the tea flavor bag, we take the pantry board. As a side note, this game does have solo rules. It also has co-op rules. That's where you would use the dice. They're not really used in the 3 to 5 player games. But there are some other things going on with the 2 to 3 player variant and co-op and so forth. So there's a lot of replayability, simple game, but not too much going on. Excuse me, not the pantry board, but the market board. That's this board right here, and we fill that up with the different tea flavors. Next, we look at the pantry board, which is over here, and we fill that up with milk, honey, sugar, vanilla, and cinnamon. Now, I will say that is one of my criticisms of the regular components to this. I don't like it when there's cheap cardboard, and for whatever reason, it's hard to see on there, but let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. All right, let's see. Hard to get that in focus. There we go. All right, the regular components in this are a little bit cheaper. Cardboard, not the same quality that I like to see in a game. So be aware of that. But the other components, and again, this is the deluxe version, Kickstarter, like these components for flavors out in the market. These are nice, thick plastic with double-sided print on them. Those are fun. I like those a lot. But just be aware of some of the difference there. Okay, so after you've done your flavors and then the pantry over on the right here, and that's the bag for the pantry up there. This bag. After you've done all that, then you also set up the ability cards. The ability cards are up here at the top. A little bit harder to see. Let's zoom back out a little bit. The ability cards, you deal 3 of these, and then put the remaining 5 to the right. Those have a darker background on the cup. Let's grab one of those so we can see that. The darker background for the ability cards. There we go. And then we set up our 3 cups because we have 3 players. I'll show you one of those cups. These are nice. Again, nice component there. And then we have randomly selected 3 tip face down without looking at them. We took those 3 tips. Zoom in there so you can see that. 3 tips, and those go in front of our tip cups over here. All right, so that is the game setup. If anybody needs a player turn card, you're given those. Oh yeah, I almost forgot a couple things. The money is over here. We have our dice, easily accessible to everyone, and we set our thermometer at 0. The first player, in this case being the player I've set up here, is going to receive 1 money and the first player token, and every other player is going to receive 2 money. Again, this is the nicer deluxe Kickstarter version, so we have some metal coins here instead of the cardboard ones. I found the same issue with the cardboard coins, that they didn't have a great print quality to them, but if you're doing the deluxe Kickstarter version, you're not going to run into that issue. Alright, now that we're all set up, let's talk about gameplay. On your turn, there's 3 things you can do. You can visit the market, take items from the pantry, or reserve a customer and use an ability. We'll go through each one of those. First, visit the market. When you visit the market, you must spend at least 1 coin to take an item. Here, it's kind of hard to see in the video, but here you'll see columns. This column has a single column, this one has a double, and this is 3 columns of 3. Whenever I purchase an item, let's say I purchased this vanilla flavoring, any other ones that are connected to it orthogonally, not diagonally, but orthogonally, I will get all of those for the single price of the far right item. So if this had been in the 3, these would all be 3, but I can take each of these vanillas for 2 coins. I would pay 2 to the bank. Of course, the first player can't currently do that because they only have 1 coin. But let's say in a future round they had that and they wanted to do that, they would do that. Then after visiting the market, purchasing those, they would slide everything to the left and refill from the right. These items then go onto your player board. You have a maximum of 12. You can get more, but then you're going to have to discard down, so that's not very efficient. But they fill on your player board in this top section here, 2 rows of 6. That's where those would go. The second thing you can do is go ahead and take 3 items from the pantry. So let's take a look at the pantry board again. We're going to put it right over here on top and zoom in a little bit here. All right. Here's our pantry board. Okay, so if I were to take 3 items from the pantry, I can take any 3 I want, or I can take a blind draw from the pantry bag. That's the smaller bag over here. And I could take a mixture, like I could take, if I wanted the milk here, and then I took a blind draw and take one out of the bag here. I could do that if I wanted to, however I wanted to. Let's say because the first player only has 1 money, they decide to take this action, they could go here, and for 1 money, they would reset the entire thing. So they'd swipe all these off of here, get rid of those, and reset the board with 5 new ones before taking their 3. So that maybe they had a better chance of getting something they wanted. Let's see if it's really any different. I don't know that that's a great choice, but you could do it if you wanted to. Well, there you go. They have 2 of the chais that they can select from this time. The third and final thing that you can do on your turn is reserve and use an ability. To reserve a customer, you just take it from the row. So let's say I take this one that looks kind of like Eero from The Last Airbender, and I place him in my personal stash down here by my board. So he'd go here, and I can't have more than 3 reserved customers at a time. We'll talk about what they do and why you might want to reserve them in just a second, but do notice that he has 3 different flavors at the bottom of his card, and that's important. So you're going to be wanting to pay attention to those. Immediately you draw a new card and add it back to the row, or you can always draw blind from the top of this deck if you'd like. Also, after you reserve a character, you can use one of the 3 face-up abilities. I'm not going to go over those because they're in the rule book and there's a bunch of them. Well, there's 8 of them, but they'll let you do different things that are good. All right, again, each one of those first 3 things, you can only choose 1 per turn. After you've gone ahead and taken one of those actions on your turn, you're going to go ahead and fulfill an order, if you can. As many times as you can, you want to fulfill an order. So let's go ahead and talk about what fulfilling an order looks like. Okay, I've reset the board, and now we can see on this card that I need a vanilla and 2 mint, as well as a green tea leaf to fulfill this order. In order to do this, I'm going to do the following. Take the green mint and vanilla, and I'm going to place them in one of the 3 cups up at the top. Also, I must get one of these green tea tokens here, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to pay the green player for one of their leaves. Now I take all those tokens, place them in the cup, say the middle one, and then I get to flip that over. So I'm immediately going to gain that bonus. Alright, so that bonus happens to be getting a random tea ingredient. So I'll get that out of the bag. I could either do that, or it might have been, let's say, this one over here. I happen to know what this one is. This one is a 3 tip of money. I would take that from the bank, so I'd have 3 money to spend in a future round. So depending on where you put your ingredients to make the tea, then you'll get the bonus. So as we do that, I can either build from my personal supply, or I can build from out in the middle. If I build from out in the middle, then we replenish that. So after I have fulfilled a customer order, either from my personal supply or from the supply in the middle, I take that card, place it face down. The game is played over a series of 5 rounds, and whenever a final tip token, in this case this first one here, is flipped over, whenever the final one in a row is flipped over, then we raise the temperature. 25, 50, 75, and 100. Once that's all done, then the game is concluded and we compare scores. One of the things that's going to happen in a 3 to 5 player game is you're going to have the diversity award presented. Each player counts the numbers of different base tea colors from their fulfilled orders and adds this number to their score. Unfulfilled customer orders don't count negatively, and no points are awarded for leftover ingredients either. The player with the most victory points wins the game as the best tea merchant. That's the basics of the game. I do think it's a pretty simple game. I think that there's not too much going on, not a big learning curve. It is a big setup for how, so here's my hand size. It is a big setup for how quickly the game will play compared to what's going on. So you might want to set up and play 2 or 3 games if you were to play this. I think you could probably get, once you know how to play, you could probably get 2 or 3 games done in an hour. So now that I've had a chance to take a look at the game and sit down with it some, I think that this is a light filler that will appeal to a lot of people. It'll be good for those cold November and December, January months. I can see why it would appeal to you if you like the artwork, if you like the theme. I don't really get why they went with the tarot card size. It just makes the board area feel bigger. But the artwork is fun. There's a lot of little allusions to pop culture and different tea things and all that. You'll see those as you play. I was, again, a little bit disappointed with some of the component quality. So let's take a look at one of those player boards. The printing overall is pretty good. but it does have not quite the full color print through that I like. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. The bigger issue is that on these player boards and on the cardboard components, you can see them, again, the glue. Why does this matter? Why is this a big deal? The more you play a game, the more you love it, the more it's going to get worn out faster if the components aren't top notch. So this game is going to suffer from that a little bit, I think. I do like that they did full color on both sides. So you have the different things going on there. I do like that the market has this nice recess thing so that those pieces aren't sliding off. It just would have been nice to see a higher quality cardboard glue process there. Other than that, I think this game isn't really for me, but if you're looking for a nice filler that has a good amount of theme and that has some good artwork, this might be a good one for you to pick up. I would definitely recommend more of the deluxe version versus the regular version. I don't always think that on games, but on this one I think that you're going to see an appreciable not content difference, but an appreciable difference in the quality of the components, especially with the coins and things like that you're going to be touching a lot, using a lot, that you really might want to go ahead and get an upgraded one if this is a game that interests you. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts. You can subscribe or watch another video. Thanks. We'll see you later.